Hi, everybody. Rebecca Nelson, Wine Club Director here at Becker Vineyards, welcoming you guys to our 5th week of virtual tastings. We are starting what we've been calling the Double Gold Week. So we're going to be tasting through 3 wines this week that all won double gold medals at different competitions in San Francisco. And the first one that we're having tonight is the 2018 Sauvignon Blanc. So tonight we have some special guests coming on. We've got a lot of things to get through. So I'm going to turn it over to Jon Leahy, our winemaker, and he's going to bring on some other guests. And I hope you guys enjoy. Cheers.
All righty. How's everybody doing? Okay. Okay. Looks like we are here, but I cannot hear anyone.
Did she just remove herself from our group?
I think so.
Just like,
that's it. I just saw the figure. Well, I couldn't hear. I think the delay has gotten me confused there. So I did not hear her introduction. I apologize. So if I repeat anything, do you have your Sauvignon Blanc?
I have my Sauvignon Blanc.
I have my Sauvignon Blanc, and I want to welcome everybody. Look at that. I've tried them in 2 different glasses tonight. I'm preferring this glass, but I want to toast everyone. So I want everybody to lift their glass, give it a swirl and give it a smell, and take a sip of this wonderful double gold award-winning Sauvignon Blanc that you and I made, Rachel. So here's patting ourselves on the back. Oh, what are you getting?
A job well done is what I'm getting.
Absolutely, absolutely, a job well done.
I love the Sauvignon Blanc, and I rave about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So excited to be able to combine, and I won't say this for sure, I don't know, that these are some of the oldest Sauvignon Blanc vines in the state, but they got to be getting close. I know that Reddy's version of this was planted in 94, 93, 94, and it was planted for the Becker winery program. Kind of cool. Ours is about that old as well, from our state vineyard, that old block.
Yeah, they planted the old block was planted in 92, I believe, because their first vintage was in 95, 96. On that.
I don't feel like I'm too far from wrong if I say these are some of the oldest Sauvignon Blanc vines.
Absolutely. So as soon as Chris joins us, we could say, there you go. Here's Chris.
There.
There you are. Hey, Chris, we want to turn it over to you. And since it's Lavender Fest week coming up, we want to see what you have to offer and tell us a little bit about this wonderful stuff that I was looking at earlier.
Oh, fun. Well, absolutely. Well, first I want to thank you for the birthday wishes. You all had a shout out for me last Friday, so that was awesome. Yeah, the lavender, for those who want a little brief history on it, Becker's planted the lavender in 1998. The Becker's daughter Clementine was one of the first people to plant it there on the property. We originally had 10,000 lavender plants, and once the lavender started blooming and growing and thriving, we started making products with it. So in the beginning, Clementine, she made all the lavender soaps for us, and then I kind of came on board, kind of a crafty little person, so we created a whole array of lavender products. This week would have been our 22nd annual Lavender Festival, so we are thinking of postponing it, just kind of seeing how the calendar is going to roll out for the rest of this year. Mother's Day is also coming up, so we wanted to kind of help remind people that we do have a great lavender selection on our website. So we have a little bit of lavender shower gels, this beautiful, cute little soap dish, of course, some lavender soap.
Hey, look, can you tilt the soap dish? Is it the soap holder?
Yes, this is the bathtub soap holder.
Does it have grating? Oh, that's perfect.
Little drains on it.
I like that. That's really nice.
And then the therapy cream. Everybody's been washing their hands a lot lately, so they might need a little bit of therapy cream to hydrate. We've got linen sprays, eye masks. This is all going to be on our website. You can go ahead and log on and check it out, along with all the other lavender products that we have. If you want to get a little gift message, we have a little handwritten note that we're gonna send those out. But just giving you a heads up because shipping and you got to plan and you don't want to forget.
Right. Oh, no, absolutely. And that therapy cream I actually use during harvest because the tannins and all the red wines and stuff that really, my hands start getting cracked and dried. So that stuff's kind of handy. Do you have, I am sorry, did you show the lip balm as well?
Oh, the lip balm. Here's the lip balm.
Okay, that's the bomb. That stuff.
Balm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I wanted, we had a picture, but I think we were having, figuring out who's going to share the picture. But this one's kind of an image from 1998. It's myself and Clementine. Look how young.
Wow. Hey, I didn't know that you could start working when you were 11 years old. That's awesome.
Yeah. See, a birthday, and we're not going to do the math here. We're just going to drink some wine.
Yeah. Math's overrated when it comes to birthday.
Yes. For sure.
Chris, thank you for all of that. And by the way, for everybody at home, if you don't know, Chris is our lavender manager and does a phenomenal job. And we were all very disappointed that we were not able to have the Lavender Fest this year because of everything happening at home. But really wanted to say thanks again, Chris, for everything. And for those of you at home, it's well worth it if you have a Mother's Day gift or even just a sweetheart gift to give, or if you want to give a gift to yourself, go ahead and order that box. So cheers, Chris. We appreciate it. And continue with us on the tasting. So most people don't know this, but I secretly give the new samples of new blends to Chris before I do to Brett if she's around because her palate's that good. So we can make fun of Brett when he's not on here, right?
Yes, that's for sure.
Okay. Now, Rachel, you're in the coolest section of the winery.
I really am.
Yeah, you got to tell people about this room.
Okay. So I don't know. I know it's really dark down here, so I will try to very calmly and slowly show you. I may even try to get up. That's pretty fancy of me. So this, where I am, is our downstairs reserve library cellar. And if you can kind of see, those are all bottles from past vintages that I think go back as far as, do I remember correctly? There's a 1995 Chardonnay back here somewhere. There's something, somewhere. I don't know where it is. It's not on the map. So some of the other things that are in here, if you haven't been here to grace our beautiful reserve library, this is, I think, one of the sexiest rooms in this whole building. And this is our long, beautiful table. I cannot give you the whole history on this table. John, you may know more. Dr. Becker definitely will. More artwork of barrels painted.
Yep. Yeah, that table is that beautiful mesquite, the folks that Brett got a hold of. But those tables are individual pieces of mesquite. So they're very, very old mesquite trees. And those tables are extraordinarily dense. Mesquite's a very
wood. So heavy.
They are. You could literally put a roast oxen on that table and it wouldn't even bend or protest. I mean, that's awesome. And I know because I've danced on top of that table, but we won't say
something I've never tried.
Yeah, right. Oh, you should. It's almost as good as dancing in a fountain. So let's get back to the wine.
Okay.
I'm getting the wiggled eyebrows. So this is the 2018. For those of you at home, if you're pouring this bottle, of course you can see it in the background. I just like to show off the bottle. If you've poured that wine, you've got the correct one. So Rachel and I worked very diligently on this wine in 2018. We had absolutely fantastic. We had a blend. It's about 65% ours and 40% or 60-40.
Correct.
Yeah, so 60% ours and 40% VJ Reddy's from the High Plains from Brownfield.
And of the 40% that's Dr. Reddy's, 5% is the Viognier that comes off of his vineyard, which also was planted back in between 92 and 94, specifically for the Becker wine project. And to me, and I know John and I talk about this all the time, but please come into our conversations that we have. So we talk all the time about the difference between the fruit that comes in off of VJ Reddy's vineyard and what comes in off of ours. And to me, our vineyard presents with it's much more of a Bordeaux style wine than some of the other ones that I have. It's got that citrusy with the hay components. It's very crisp, it's very dry. Dr. Reddy's, I think, brings in a component that's much more tropical fruity.
Oh,
And if you just swirl this glass and smell those aromas that come out, are they not just beautiful?
They are. You know, one of the things I love about this wine is that hay or straw edge to it. It's a very light. You know, a lot of times New World Sauvignon Blancs can be very grassy, almost to the point of being obnoxious. And I find that grassiness to be a fault in wines if it's too strong. And technically it is a fault, I guess, if you really drill down into it, but it really does accentuate the fruit on a level. And some Sauvignon Blancs will have that lemongrass. This one has more, like you said, like hay or straw. And the flavor is phenomenal. It hits dry in the front of the palate. And it finishes off so nicely in the back. And I want to explain too. Oh, go ahead. No, please.
I was going to say, I love that it's dry up front, and then it has a big voluminous, didn't say that right, a big full body with big fruit. And then, like you said, it finishes so nice and crisp, has nice lingering fruits, but not too fruity. I love this.
Yeah, I think it would be easier. I always have a hard time talking if I start tasting this wine about 45 minutes before we broadcast. So I'm just saying, I've been sitting here waiting, tasting this wine. So.
I wasn't going to comment on how much was left out of that bottle.
Yeah.
Let it go.
No, but I also wanted to explain too. So last week we talked about our double gold medals from the international competitions, and some of the things that we're proud of. It's because we take for granted that we know what's going on. So for folks who aren't familiar with the San Francisco Chronicle or San Francisco International Wine Competitions, they're two of the top 5 in the world. So they get about between 4,000 and 5,000 entries from all over the world. There are about 55 to 60 judges. And in order to get a double gold medal, all 60 judges have to give you a gold medal. Then you get a double gold from that. If one of them gives you less than a gold, then you don't get a double gold. So it is a very proud moment of judgment by your peers. I mean, these are wine critics, they're other winemakers, they're sommeliers, they're people in the profession, they're from all walks of our professional life. And so it's very, very important. Oh, there we go. Do you see the picture? Yeah, the goat.
You think that one's on purpose?
I do.
Is that a plug?
No, I can't look at Chris for a picture of a goat. So, but yeah, but anyway, the wine itself, we're very proud of this because we do a lot at the winery to ensure that we're doing the best we can. But more importantly, in the vineyard, our guys out there are working right now as we speak. They're out there working still today because the wind's dying down. They're able to spray now. So vineyard work, like any farm work, never truly ends. So it's a culmination of everybody's hard work and everybody's attention to detail.
Absolutely. And I'd also like to point out that you and I know that harvest is really about to begin whenever we harvest the Sauvignon Blanc. It historically has been the very first grape that we bring in off of our vineyard, and it's usually right around the 3rd week of July.
Right.
That's when we kind of start breathing a little deeper, breathing a little slower, knowing that this is coming.
Oh, I know, you know, and it's making me nervous now thinking about it already. And most people won't be thinking about harvest. It's the end of April that, you know, to me, Lavender Fest is always the mark of, okay, we got to hurry up and get ready. We only have 2 months. And yeah, the butterflies already start and everything. So some of the flavors that I'm picking up now, so it's been in this tasting glass for about half an hour. And if everybody at home, if you poured your wine about 15 minutes ago, take another sniff and taste and really delve down into that. So Rachel, what are some of the, so our barrel program, let's talk about that real quick before we get into the food, because this really does affect, every year it changes.
Well, there are a couple of things that don't change, right? And every year we always bring in a select amount of brand new French oak barrels, and they are specific for our Sauvignon Blanc. And I know that we will eventually start talking about our white wing, but specifically our white wing and our Viognier and our Chardonnay programs. There's some other things that we reserve a small portion to go here and there for, but absolutely these 3 white wines get their share of the brand new French oak. And to me, that's absolute paramount in the body and the, how do you say, the very subtle aromas that it allows from the oak while letting the fruit shine forward.
Oh, it does. And, you know, it's counterintuitive too, because Sauvignon Blanc behaves very well in new oak if it's allowed to sit in there for about 2 years. And hence our reserve program that we alluded to on the white wing. But this Sauvignon Blanc comes out a year after harvest. So it, you know, it is a fresh young wine when it comes out, and it's perfect for that. It's perfect for sipping in a warm summer day. It's perfect for a nice sunset, sitting on the back porch, having a nice conversation, pairing with some different foods. But I also want to talk about the origins of Sauvignon Blanc itself. So to me, it's a great grape. I love Chardonnay. I love Viognier. Sauvignon Blanc will always have a place in my heart, though. So it really is thought to be an indigenous grape in the southwestern part of France. So Sauvignon Blanc, you know, wild and white is basically where that name comes from. Sauvignon, wild, and Blanc, white. So that's what led a lot of people to think the Sauvignon grape was the ancestor of Sauvignon Blanc. There's still DNA testing, still not completely conclusive on that. But we'll just go ahead and call it what it is, indigenous to the Bordeaux area of France. And it is a beautiful expression of fruit. If you are not normally a white wine drinker, I would highly encourage you to take a glass of Sauvignon Blanc. And if you find one that you like, stick with it. If the first one you taste you don't like, try another one. Try up to 3 more wines. This is a rule of thumb for any wine. You may not like the way someone made it versus the grape itself. And the only way to try that is to try several different permutations of that grape.
I 100% agree. I think this is definitely a wine that can carry a lot of different winemaking styles, whether you like a very crisp, tart, dry wine, or maybe something that's a little bit more tropical fruity and bigger. Sorry, kind of cut it at loss. But I feel like ours kind of balances in between, where it encompasses a lot of the flavors from both of those worlds.
I think so as well.
So you started to talk a little bit about pairing it with foods.
Yes, and so I'm trying to look at my cheat sheet while you're talking, so make sure nobody sees my eyes going down.
Then I will keep talking while you find your cheat sheet.
No,
So,
it's falling off the couch. But so one of the foods that I really enjoy with this is actually pork. Now I don't normally eat a whole heck of a lot, but I really do enjoy it, especially with anything grilled, like pork loin or a pork chop out on the grill. The other thing that I enjoy with this, and I love wild game, and I know there are a lot of people who do, but I really like. I like it with duck. It's a very nice expression with duck, but it's also great with quail, and especially the local quail we get around here. You know, the ubiquitous grilled or chicken fried quail in Texas. It is so good with that dish.
yeah, absolutely.
Last
night we made a spinach risotto soup and drank this with it, and it was fabulous. It was just the right touch of brightness to complement the savoriness of the spinach risotto. It's quite delicious. I was very proud of myself.
Risotto would be so awesome with that, especially, you know, I think also the Sauvignon Blanc does very well with anything with mushroom.
Right?
It sounds odd. Most people think red wine and mushrooms, but this is so, yeah. Now I'm hungry. Now I want mushroom risotto. So one of the questions I'm getting, and I apologize for the noise in the background. I forgot to lower the volume on my phone every time a question comes through. One of the questions is this wine available in retail or winery only? Actually, this is a retail wine. You, under normal circumstances, could not find this particular wine at the winery. It's for retail only. Yes, it is estate, and yes, it is one of our great growers, VJ Reddy, Dr. Reddy's wine blended. If you can still find this wine out in retail, pick it up because it's a great bargain. Right now, we are offering it as a library selection for $40 a bottle. It has been out of circulation for a short period of time. For about 3 months, it's been down. So we put this in our library. We had a pallet left, so about 56 cases here at the winery that we decided to hold aside, and that's why we featured it in this week's tasting. So if you do find it out in the retail, go ahead and pick it up. It's an excellent wine. It's the 2018. We released about 3 months ago, or 2 months ago, I guess, the 2019. Sauvignon Blanc. So that's what you should find mostly. Don't confuse the two. They're both equally great. But what we're talking about here tonight is the 2018. So,
But absolutely, if you can find that out and about, grab it and grab all that you can, because there's not much of it left.
oh,
And
heaven,
if you can get that and the 2019 Sauvignon Blanc is 100% ready vineyards fruit. And so it'd be a lot of fun to compare, contrast and compare. Enjoy.
and it is going to be a completely different creature. And, you know, and just speaking back to, if you cannot find it retail, or if you're out of state and you want to buy an extra bottle or two, go ahead and call our wine club. I'm going to just plug the number again, 830-644-2681, and extension 230. Again, so when you get into our voice tree, it's 230 for the extension. And one of the folks on the other end of that line will be happy to help you with any inquiries. So I'm going to read this. Another question is, where is Dr. Becker? Dr. Becker is MIA. So we will try to get him on. If we can't get him on later in the broadcast, which it doesn't look like it, we're having some technical difficulties. Bear with us. I personally have not worked for any major video production company, so I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah. It's okay. So how many barrels of this were produced? So Rachel, how much wine did we produce of the 2018?
Oh, cheat sheet. It's about 3,000 gallons. So what is that divided by 5? What is that math quickly? Was it 50 barrels?
1,000 gallons? About, yeah, I would say about 1,200 cases. It's 2.33573 gallons per case, or 9 liters per case. So, and that's as far as my math skills are going to go. However, there is a really cool person that lives in the Carolinas by the name of Sarah that should be on this broadcast, and she can do the math and really quick too. Since she was giving me all sorts of hell about the wine earlier today, a friend of mine. So shout out to her and her husband, Bill. Thanks for joining us. Also shout out to Kansas City. I just saw a couple of scrolls through. All right, the next question I have is, how long will this store in the fridge? Yes.
As long as you can allow it.
Yeah.
I think that this wine will hold up for quite some time. I think that it has the backbone and the structure to last for quite a while. And while we often think that white wines won't age as long, Sauvignon Blanc is contrary to that story, that it will age for quite some time. John, I would venture out that you could probably at least age this one for a solid 10 years. It'd be fun to see.
Oh yeah, I think under the right conditions, this wine will last an easy 10 years. Sauvignon Blanc, so for those of you at home who are just getting into it and may not know the difference between red and white ageability, honestly, it's the structure of the wine. And it really does, even today, after dealing with wines for 24 years, it amazes me how long white wines will age. This Sauvignon Blanc, my best guess, absolutely, I'll agree with your 10 and I'll raise you by 5. I really do think it will age for a long time, as long as it's not subjected to a high amount of heat or a lot of temperature fluctuation. I, by accident, years ago, discovered that an old refrigerator was the perfect place to save wine. I didn't have to buy a fancy wine cooler. I had one given to me a while back, and it's very nice. It holds wine at a very even temperature. But an old refrigerator in the garage will do the same thing, and you can actually turn the temperature up slightly, so you don't have to keep it at 42. You can keep it at 45. It'll stay there indefinitely. So as long as it's in that condition, I think you'll be fine. If you don't have that, don't despair. Open a bottle, figure out where the coolest place in your house is, stash your wine there. I think you'll be fine for the short term. So, all right, I'm going to go back to questions. Rachel, one question I do have for you. How did this perform for you? What was your opinion on it when we brought it in? The difference between VJ's fruit and our fruit.
Yeah, so going back to what I was saying earlier about our fruit, once again, is the very first fruit. It's the fruit that kicks off our harvest. And the vines are older. They're still producing, and they're producing healthily and very heartily. I'm trying to rack off the top of my head. John, what do we get? Probably 20 or 30 tons, at least 20 tons off of
it was a little over. Our vines are pretty old. We're getting, now we had 10 acres, but we've lost a few vines in between there. So I think we're we are getting about 3.5 to 4.5 tons to the acre of the producing acres. So.
And again, this is from 92 to 94, somewhere right around there. We do have some newer plantings going on, but that's not what you asked me. You asked me what I thought about the wine, the grapes themselves. The grapes come in, we're very busy, we get things done. They're beautiful grapes from both of them. I'm sorry to be very perfunctory about it.
Rachel, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to have to bring in a wine expert, and I'm going to ask her. This is Merlot, and she usually can let us know how that goes. So you see her, yeah.
She didn't come flying through the air. That's what I expected.
No,
that was a nice handoff.
She's definitely not happy.
There was no launching.
No, the launching cat is not available right now. He's on walkabout. So with VJ's fruit too. So the one thing that I love about VJ's fruit, and if you guys will pick up your glass again and give this another smell, you'll really smell that. So that deeper, almost herbal note, that's ready right there in a nutshell. His fruit it does have tropical fruit flavors, but it has an herbal edge to it. And so
I am terrible with my florals. Absolutely terrible. I know like 4 or 5 maybe. John, what would you say the floral note that you get right off the bat is this?
Right off the bat is linden flower, which is going to be something most people aren't familiar with because it's
I think you made it up.
Yeah. It's got an edge. For those of you who are familiar with the gardenias, it does have an edge, a mild gardenia. But I also get a lot of citrus blossom, just a very hint amount of citrus blossom on there. So linden flower is very similar. It's kind of like a muted, it's almost a hybrid between citrus and jasmine in there. So our vines, next question is, how old are the vines? How old are BJ Reddy's vines? He was planted back in 93, wasn't he?
I was going to say it's between 92 and 94.
Right.
Yeah, and they are some of so cool little note about BJ Reddy. He is still a farmer. Don't get me wrong. He's still a farmer, but he was a dull fruit farmer. And he would set aside about 5 acres every year to start planting vines. So over time, he has become, till just very, very recently, one of the largest growers in Texas. I think he's well over 200 acres now.
Yeah, he's approaching 3. I think he's over 3 now. I think because they planted all that back. Yeah, he's getting close if he isn't.
And we talk about him all the time. We forget to tell you all these beautiful things that we know about this man. He's in Brownfield. He literally is in Brownfield of Texas. His vineyard is on the very edge of these city limits. Again, these grapes were some of the very first that he planted, along with the Viognier that he planted for the Becker winery. Mm-hmm. Somewhere between 92 and 94. They're still producing. At this age, typically when the vines get to be about 25-ish years old, they kind of self-regulate how much they're going to produce. They're not big, heavy producers, which is nice. We actually don't want the vines to be, producing 8-10 tons per acre. We want them to calm down a little bit and be maybe somewhere between the 3 to 6 tons per acre. And I think that's absolutely where these are.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think, because I think on the best year, we got almost 5 tons to the acre off of his, that was 2017. So but the combinations too, I really do enjoy the stainless steel fermented edge of this wine as well. I am a traditionalist. If I could put it all in French oak, I probably would. But I have to say that the difference between the oak and what the oak offers to the wine and stainless steel, basically stainless steel is going to keep almost all of that fruit forward because we can really control the temperature. If you can keep the wine at fermentation below 65 degrees Fahrenheit, then you're going to save a lot of that fruit. The other thing is the way we keep it in a reductive environment, in an oxygen-free environment for a long time. And then we hit it with a nice burst of air right before bottling, and all that fruit really comes out. So that's something that we work very hard on keeping to keep the white wines going. Okay, so we've hit food, we've hit barrel programs. Now, I really have to ask, and I'm sorry to bend over here because I did drop my notes. Why did we decide on this blend? Let's talk about that just real briefly. And then I want to go back to the flavors because I'm starting to notice. That's why I have these two glasses here to smell.
Yes, I was going to ask you to talk about the two glasses and what do you get out of each one of those?
Yeah, so this is a Bordeaux glass right here. This is what they call a somm glass or a tasting glass. It's supposed to be a really good glass all the way around. It's also a Pinot glass. A lot of people call it a Pinot glass. I actually, because of the shape of this glass on the nose, I get a lot more of the herbaceousness. And in this one, I get a lot more tropical fruit. So that's really going to influence what I'm tasting. You know, 80% of what you taste comes through the nose. So, you know, when you take that, this glass is really going to focus the wine as it comes out. I don't know if you can see this without me dumping it on my nice little Mac Air. You can see how that really focuses the edge of the wine. You know, where this one is a much broader point as it comes out of the glass. So that's going to hit the sides of your mouth, where this one's going to hit right in the middle of your palate. So that's primary. It's just fun to taste it. If you have two different glasses, take your wine glass, take a different glass. But you know, I don't want to steal any thunder. I know I'm getting very excited because next week Rebecca's going to be taking us through this each and every tasting. We're going to spend a little bit of time on the different glasses. So
All the reader glasses.
we ponder into doing it. So okay, so one more time, guys, before the end here, keep your questions coming. We're going to do a little bit of a Q&A afterwards. So if I don't get to your questions now, I've got one more question here, which is why is the color of this wine different than the Chardonnay? So basically, the Chardonnay, the Chardonnay spends a lot more time in oak than the Sauvignon Blanc. So it's certainly going to pick up some of the toasted deeper yellows, deeper brown notes from that. The Sauvignon Blanc remains almost like a straw or a golden straw edge. It does have some new oak on it, but not as much as the Chardonnay does. So there's the primary difference.
And I would like to point out, first and foremost, it's a different grape.
Yes.
So even when the grapes come in, the Sauvignon Blanc has a completely different look and a completely different color. It's a different size berry. It almost has a more greenish tint to it than the Chardonnay does.
Oh yeah, it does. It definitely has a greener tint. Even when they're fully ripe, you know, if they're not sunburnt, they go from a deep green to a light green yellow, where the Chardonnay goes golden. The other thing, our Chardonnay almost all comes from really far away. So it spends a lot more time on skin contact. From the time it's picked to the time it gets to the winery to the press, it's been 7 to 9 hours on skin. That doesn't sound like a lot of time, but for white wine, it is. Now there's been an uptick in what they call orange wine, which is skin contact white grapes. And you know, outside of me being a curmudgeon-y middle-aged old dude and making fun of things, there have been a couple of orange wines I've actually liked, but I like kind of making fun of them more. This one, we're very, very particular about keeping the skin to a minimal contact. From the time they pick the grapes at our estate to the time I crush is 1 hour and 20 minutes. That's the difference of having a crew out in the vineyard, bringing it straight to the crush pad. So it's getting virtually very little skin contact. We don't consider skin contact while it's still growing on the vine. Skin contact starts the moment we pick that cluster from the vine. So that's what I mean. It starts oxidizing. That's what we're basically talking about. The other thing I like to do with the Chardonnay that I don't do with the Sauvignon Blanc is I like to splash the hell out of it in the press and let it really oxidize. It turns the juice brown, drops all the pinking and browning edges out of that during fermentation. I don't have that much worry with the Sauvignon Blanc.
Right.
So, what's one more time, favorite food, just one more time, favorite food, Rachel, what do you think?
I'm still sticking with my spinach risotto. It was delicious. I'm happy. I'm so happy I have leftovers to do it again tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. I am definitely going to go for quail on this. If you can get a hold of it. If not, I love fowl. So duck or quail for me is definitely it. So next week, folks, later this week on Wednesday, we're going to do the Reserve Merlot. It is the 2016. If you've gotten a 3-pack, put that wine in the fridge for about an hour beforehand, chill it down a little bit, and see what's going on. Also, I'm sorry, I'm getting questions in, but then I just got a question from one of our commentators in the background saying I am foul. So, F-O-D. I saw you typing. No, so I want to remind everybody the Merlot on Wednesday, and then Food Friday is coming up with the Jet Wilmoth Cabernet. On Wednesday, we'll announce what we're going to do for Food Friday. But so for now, remember that. If you haven't ordered the box yet, go ahead and get the box. And one more time, from Merlot.
Angry, disappointed kitty.
The winery cat. I found her during harvest. We yanked her out of the field and I brought her home. So yeah, her own. Yeah, the neighbors never knew. No. Anyway, I want to remind you of that coming up on Wednesday. Next week's wines, they'll be releasing an email in the future here. And if you have any questions on Facebook, go ahead and type them in. We're going to do that. And I think that's going to be a wrap for the evening. So Rachel, and also we need to leave not just with a toast, because Doc wasn't here. We also need to thank everybody in the front line, the nurses, the doctors, the first responders, the folks in the grocery store, the people that are keeping the economic engine of our lives going. We really appreciate it. The farmers especially. There's a lot of heartbreak this year. Guys, we love you all. We wish you the best. And for that, I am very grateful and thankful to everyone out there. So here's to everyone. May you have good wine and great health. Cheers.